Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Critical English Grade 7. And we're here with three persons, myself, Monique Sarias, then we have Alicia, and we have Azaria, our two faithful students who are both at the secondary level and are having a great time so far, I hope. Yeah? Okay. So Alicia, I told you we're going to have a trick question to start today's session, right? And it's going to emphasize the importance of order. Why order is important in English as well. So think about your name, how it is spelled. Azaria, do the same. And let's see how quickly you can spell your name backwards.
Silla.
Spell, call the letters. A.
I. C. I.
L-A. Good. That took some time, right? It's easier to spell A-L-I-C-I-A because you've been doing it all the time. Azaria, let's see if you can spell yours. Starting from the back.
A-I-R-A-Z-A.
That sounds right, yes. Okay, great. So that was you had to use your brain for that, right? You had to really think about the order in which those letters are. So the same way the way letters are structured or their sequence is important for language. For one word, and that word is your name, right? Given our discussions last week, what part of speech would your name be? Your name is which part of speech? Noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective? Noun. So your names are nouns. So we're going to talk about sentences today a little bit, and we talked about this at the starting of this entire series. What are sentences? We'll review those, and then we'll move on to our topic today about subject and verb. And we're going to see why order is important and when to use what verb with what subject, or what the rules are. So it's a bit of more rules and so forth, learning about grammatical stuff and so. So let's go into our examples with sentences. And the S that you're going to see in the square brackets stand for subject. The V you're going to see will stand for verbs, and the O will stand for object. Because in English we have the subject first, the object subject, verb, and then the object. So S, V, O. So let's look at our first sentence, and if we can see them on the big screen, that would be nice. So under sentences, you're going to see we have 4 sentences there, and the first one says, the woman weighs herself every day. The woman weighs herself every day. So if you're weighing something or someone is being weighed, what are they usually weighed on? Sometimes you have the bathroom one, or you have one at the health center. A scale. But in this sentence, are we talking about the scale or are we talking about the woman? The woman. So if you have to pick out what is the subject of this sentence, the woman weighs herself every day. The subject will be?
Weighs.
The woman weighs herself every day. The subject is? What are we talking about, or who are we talking about?
The woman.
The woman. So weighs, is that a noun? Is that a subject?
No.
It's not. But what is it? What part of speech is it? You're thinking. So let's go through some other examples. We're going to come back to this one here. So if we can have it on the screen, please. We're going to ask our tech guys to put this up on the screen for us. And the second example is the children eat buns, cakes, and biscuits. We're talking about a lot of different things, right? Cakes, buns, and biscuits. Those are all names of things, right? They're all nouns. But the children is also noun. But what exactly are we talking about, or who are we talking about in this sentence? The children eat buns, cakes, and biscuits. Thank you. Who or what are we talking about in this sentence?
Children.
The children. That's all right. So we have the subject of the sentence being the children in this one here. The previous example, we have the subject as the woman. And the third example, I'm going to ask Alicia to read that, and Azaria, you'll read the fourth one for us. Go ahead, Alicia.
The teacher The teacher throws a book outside the window.
That's not a very nice teacher, right? Good. So who or what are we talking about in this sentence, Alicia?
The teacher.
The teacher. We also have book in that sentence. Where are we talking about the book in this sentence? Look back at the sentence. Are we talking about the teacher or the book?
The teacher.
The teacher. So the teacher is the one doing the action, right? So the subject in the sentence is who or what we're talking about, or who or what is doing the action in the sentence. Azaria, let's go to your sentence, the last one. The students.
The students throw their hands up in the air.
Good, very good. So what's the subject in the sentence? Who or what are we talking about?
Students.
Students. And they're doing something, right? What are they doing? They throw, right? Good. So that word there is a verb. You're seeing the V at the back there, right? It's a verb. So what we're looking at is what happens when you have a subject next to a verb. So let's go back from the top. The first one, the woman. That particular subject there, is it singular or plural?
Singular.
It's singular, the woman. Now look at the verb next to it. We said weighs is a verb. Tell me what you notice about this verb. It ends with what? It ends with an S. Good. So it's a singular, what? Singular,
Verb.
singular subject, and the verb ends with an S. So you can have singular and plural subjects, but verbs aren't necessarily singular or plural. They just have to match what you have there. So just think about it. Singular woman, so the verb needs to have an S at the end. Look at the other example. The children. Is that singular or plural? Plural. So because this one is plural, look at the verb next to it. What's the verb next to it? Eat. Does that have an S at the end?
No.
No. So tell me what you noticed so far. When the subject is singular, the verb has an S at the end. When the subject is plural, the verb does not have an S at the end. And of course in English there are exceptions, right? But this is generally the rule to follow. So let's make the woman, let's look at that one there. If we were to make that plural, it would be what? They? If you were to make that subject plural, the woman, instead of one woman, we want to talk about more than one. Women. So the women, so the verb will now be what? Weigh or weighs?
Weigh.
Weigh without the S. So let's go to the second one now. The children, that's already plural we said. If we want to make this one singular, it will be the child. So child is singular and children is plural. So if we have the children eat without an S for the verb, if we change children to child, it will be now the child eats with the S at the end. Clear?
Yeah.
Good. So let's look at the other two examples. Now remember, Alicia, you were the third example, right? The teacher throws blah blah blah. So if you were to change that to plural subject, can you read it for me, please?
The teacher throws.
To plural.
The teachers throw.
Good. Excellent. The teachers throw without the S for the verb. Good. Azaria now. If you want to make the students in the fourth sentence singular, it will be the
student throws.
Good. The student throws. So you notice that balance there, right? When one has the S, the other one doesn't have the S. Now we have verbs like is and are. The boy, is or are going to the market? The boy is. So that is the exception. So this one here is the exception where the S does not fall with the other verb that matches the plural. The boys, is or are. So when it's is or are, it changes slightly. But for all the others, it's usually the verb that ends with the S when it's the plural subject. Let's go to the rules now. So basically what we were discussing just now are the rules. And very easy to remember. Alicia, the first one, if the subject is singular, the verb must match. And Azaria, if the subject is plural, the verb must match. So some books have, if the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular, and if the subject is plural, the verb must be plural. But really and truly, can you have plural and singular verbs? No, you can have plural and singular subjects, more than one, or just one of this thing or this noun or this pronoun, like we spoke about the last time. So I'm just saying what you may see in some older textbooks. So let's talk about these subjects here. And we talked about them earlier. So as I want you to choose 2 Azaria, and you're going to choose 2 Alicia. We're going to start with Azaria this time. Azaria, choose 2 of those words and tell me the singular. We already talked about it just now, so that shouldn't be too difficult for you. So if I'm asking for the singular, that means you have to choose the plural ones. So go ahead.
Child.
Child and children.
Teacher and
Teacher and
teachers.
teacher and teachers. Okay, good. We can accept that. Go ahead, Alicia. The 2 others, please.
Woman and student.
Okay, so women and students. Both of these are plural. So if you want to make them singular, how do we make them singular? Women will become an A. So woman and students will drop the. To make it singular, what we have to get rid of? The S. Excellent. So Azaria had a plural and a singular, and Alicia had 2 plurals. Alright, let's go to this one here. Now this is another rule that we have here, because the one you did just now, you already know it, right? So we're going to something a little bit more difficult. When 2 subjects are joined by an and, the verb matches. So we know Azaria and Alicia. Those are 2 subjects joined by and. So Azaria and Alicia are going to lessons. Make sense? So even though it's not 2 Alicias we're talking about, or 2 Azarias, we're talking about 2 persons. So the verb will have to match as if those 2 were plural. So Alicia and Azaria dance or dances in the rain? Dance in the rain. If we're talking about Alicia alone, Alicia dances in the rain. Make sense? Alright, so let's look at the examples that are there. The first one, and I know you have to buy a lot of stationery for school and so the first one is about school supplies. The paste and pencils is or are affordable?
Is.
Remember we said that one was the exception just now, right? Usually it ends with the S, but in this particular one, the plural for this particular verb will be, or these particular subjects would be, are. Good. We are going to the market, plural, right? So the paste and pencils are affordable. What if we had it the other way around? You notice paste doesn't have an S at the end, pencils have the S at the end. So one is singular and one is plural. If we had the pencils and paste, would it still be is and are affordable? Remember our rule says if we add an and between 2 subjects, we're treating it as if it is plural. So if we had said the pencils and the paste, will it still be is? Will it still be are, or will it be is? It will still be are, because we are still talking about how many things? More than one. So whether it's the paste and the pencil, both of them are subjects, even though both are individually singular. When you put them together, we're talking about 1 pencil and 1 paste. Put them together, you have 2 things. Let's go to the other one. The students, notice that's plural, and the teacher. So what are the subjects in this sentence?
The
Students, and teacher. So we have how many subjects? 2. What's our verb? We have an option, read or reads. Which is the answer? Which is the correct answer? The students and teacher. Read? Alright, let's trash it out a bit here. So one is saying read and one is saying reads. That's good. Let's try to see where we're going wrong or where we're going right. Let's look back at our example on the board. The students and the teacher. How many persons are we talking about? We're talking about a group here and we're talking about a teacher. So are we talking about one or are we talking about more than one? So it's plural. When it's plural, usually the verb ends with an S. So which is the correct answer? Sorry, when it's singular, it ends with an S. When it's plural, we drop the S. So the correct answer will be read without the S. When it's plural, remember plural, you now have to drop the S. If it's singular, then we add the S. Cool. All right. Read every day for English. Let's go to our other one there. So let's look at this. This is a new type of rule again. When there is one subject and more than one verb. So in the example just now, we had more than one subject. In this example, these examples here, we're going to have more than one verb. So let's see how it goes. The verbs throughout the sentence must agree with the subject. In other words, if we're talking about Alicia is one person, it therefore means that all the verbs in the sentence must match the singular form because we're talking about one person. If we're talking about both Azaria and Alicia, then obviously all the verbs must match these two, and these two are treated as a unit, so plural, because we're talking about two separate individuals, right? With me? Yeah? Alright, cool. Let's look at the examples. The first one, the bolded ones in black are the what? You tell me what are those, and what are the blue ones? What are the black ones, the bolded black ones, and what are the bolded blue ones? One of them, I'm going to give you a hint, is a subject, and blues are
verbs.
Blues are the verbs. That means that the black bolded ones are the subjects. Easy, right? So let's take it one by one. Azaria, you'll help me with the first one, and Alicia, you'll help me with the second one. So Azaria, can you kindly read the first one, please?
Interviews are one way to collect data and allows reporters to report facts.
Good. So interviews are, so no S at the end there. The other one, collect, allow, report. So all of those are forms of verbs, and none of them have an S at the end. Correct, because interviews is the plural and it has an S at the end. So the subject is plural, so all the verbs do not have the S at the end of them. Correct? So it's even then. We can't have it on both sides. We can only have it on one side. Think of it as a seesaw. You know when you're little, you play on a seesaw? So when your friend goes up, you go down. When you go up, they go down. So think of it like that. The subject and the verb, that's the interaction that it has. And you can't have both of them trying to be, or it's not going to work. It's not fun if both of you are here, right? It's only fun if it goes like this. So let's look at the other example. My story. Is that singular or plural, Alicia? Singular, because we're talking about my story. So singular. Is, so obviously is the correct verb to use there. It's a combination of my experiences and represents my hopes and desires. So the verb in this one here is the ones in blue are verbs. So what are they? Is and I'm not hearing you. Represents. So you notice it ends with an S at the end, right? Correct. So let us continue. So this is an easy one. It's a blank page because you're giving me subjects. Let's just come up with some random subject and you'll tell me if it's singular or plural. Azaria, give me two. Alicia, you give me two. Starting with Azaria first. What's your last name, Azaria?
DeSantos.
So D. What's your last name?
Haywood.
H. So although your names begin with A, you're not the first person on the register, correct?
No.
Okay, go. You first. Your two subjects.
Cats.
Cats. Okay, S. So it is plural. Because you're talking about more than one. Correct. So since I helped you with that one, you gotta give me two more. You can look at objects in this room too.
Chairs.
Chairs. And it is
Plural.
plural. Good. So one more you have to give me.
lights.
Lights, and those are plural. Very good. So since we got a lot of plural examples from Azaria, I'm going to ask you to give us some singular examples. We're talking about subjects that can either be nouns or pronouns. Go ahead.
The garden.
The garden. Good. So garden is singular. We're talking about one garden. Very good. Give me another one. The store, we're talking about one, so that is singular. And one more example. So garden, store, like how you're thinking about things and places outside of here. Give me one that's school related.
The library.
Library, very good. So singular because it's one. So we have an idea of what subjects are. So in your own words, tell me what are subjects. Subjects are... What are subjects?
Subjects.
Don't think maths, English, science, social studies. We're talking about that type of subject. Subject in sentences are what?
Subjects are words.
We're talking about it all the time. You can give me examples. So what are subjects?
Subjects are words that can be plural or not.
Good, so they can be plural or singular. Very good. But something else, they serve a function in the sentence. How do we identify the subject in a sentence? It has...
It's the name of a person, place.
Good, it's usually the name of a person, place, or thing. So it's usually a noun. And what's another thing that it can function as? Noun or?
Pronoun.
Pronouns. It can be either noun or pronoun. But are all the nouns or pronouns in a sentence, are all of those subjects?
No.
The example we had before with somebody, the children eat or eats buns, biscuits, and something else. That particular example, buns, biscuits, and whatever, those are all nouns. But how do we know that the children was the subject of the sentence? Because the sentence was about the children and what the children were doing. So the subject in the sentence is who or what the sentence is talking about, and this person or this thing does the action. Now there's some verbs that are not action words, like is or are. They're state of being verbs, but the easy way to remember it is action words. But sometimes it can be a state of being verb, which is or are. So did I complicate things for you a bit? So let's go it over again. The subject in the sentence is who or what the sentence is about. Good. So we can be talking about a lot of things in the sentence, but who or what are we focusing on? Who or what is doing the action? Who or what is the most important thing in this sentence? This sentence was written just to give us more information about this thing. Everything else in the sentence just tells us more, gives us more information about this. Easy? You have a question? Go ahead.
The subject can be the main idea. Wait, not really like idea, but like the main
So when we're doing paragraph writing, we said that the main idea in the sentence is called a thesis statement, or sometimes it's the first sentence in the paragraph, usually. So the main idea, a main idea is expressed in the sentence usually. So usually no, the main idea isn't the subject of the sentence. Is, let's say, I think the easiest way to remember is if you think about this as a sentence and what kind of information is this sentence giving me? Who or what is it giving me information about? Once you answer that, you figure out who or what the subject is about. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a thing. Could be anyone, right? And the verbs, are verbs easier for you to identify in sentences, or are subjects easier for you to identify? Both? Both are easy for you?
Kind of.
Okay. So once you identify the subject, it's easy to pick out the verb, right? Any thoughts on that, Azaria? Are both easy for you, or one is easier to identify than the other one?
It's easy.
Both are easy? Okay, great. So that is all the time we have for today. And I think we started about... Okay, I think we have a few more. We have about 4 minutes left. So let's go with these here. This is us reviewing all that we learned today, right? So let's go to the sentences. I'm going to help you read them, but if you look at the words at the bottom, you're matching these words with the sentences. So we have 4 sentences, but we have 8 verbs at the bottom, and they're in both forms. So you'll have to tell me which verb to go where, correct? Okay, right. So remember, we're talking about order is important, the first one. And we're going to ask Alicia to do the first and second, Azaria the fourth and the fifth. So Alicia, the lights something on automatically. You read the entire sentence for me now.
The lights go on automatically.
Good. The lights go on automatically. Is she correct, Azaria? All right, she is correct. So let's go on to the second one, Alicia. Good job. My boss and I something at the same office, and there's supposed to be a full stop there to finish it. Go ahead. Which one? Drinks. That could work too, but if you look at the other examples, will you need that particular verb for the other examples? It can work. My boss and I, but if you're talking about my boss and I, will it be drink or drinks? Well, I hope you and your boss don't drink in the office when you get bigger, right? So it will be drink and not drinks. Good. So let's go to the other one. We're talking to Azaria now. Go ahead, Azaria.
My friend and my family something coffee and all.
So what's the verb?
Drink.
Good. Again, this is the correct one for this one. Drink coffee all day. It matches this one, right? So you can think about if you want to change your verb for the second one, right? Or the final one, the Christmas tree something naturally in some places. Grows. Good. Christmas tree is singular, so the verb will have the S at the end. So back to Alicia for the second one. We don't want your boss and you drinking at work. Go ahead. My boss and I. All right, so it kind of worked, but there's another verb we didn't use as yet that you can use.
Work.
Good. My boss and I work at the same office. Alicia really wants to go drinking. Wait until you're older, okay? All right, so thank you for joining us for our session today. I'm going to hand you over to the math person, Miss Najima, who will continue our discussion with these lovely ladies here today. So see you until next week. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Critical Math, grade 6 to 7. And today we are focusing on area of a circle. Not so much the calculation, but how we derive the area of a circle. All right, so let's begin. So before we look at the area of a circle, let's examine what area is, right? So area would be the total space that is taken up by a plane figure. And remember, a plane figure is a two-dimensional figure, right? So let's add the word two-dimensional. Right? Or you might see 2D. So it's a two-dimensional figure because it has two dimensions, either length and width, or length and height, or length and breadth. All right? So today we are focusing on the circle. And so if we have a circle, right, the area would be occupied by, we're looking for the area within here, right, would be area occupied by that space here for a specific circle. So we know what the area, we know formula, right, how we find area and so forth. So we're not focusing on using the formula. So I want you to have an idea as to how the formula comes about, right? So the last time we focused on the circumference of a circle, and we examined the relationship between the circumference and the diameter. And remember, we looked at different sizes of circles when we were finding the diameter of the different circles, remember? And as well, the circumference of the different types of circles. And so when we divided the circumference by the diameter, we were getting a specific value, right? In some cases, it was 3.14. In other cases, it was 3.12, 3.13, depends on the size of the circle. And so that value was referred to as?
The radius.
Right, so the circumference divided by the radius gave us a particular value. And what did we call that value?
Diameter?
No. Circumference divided by the diameter gives us a particular pi. Very well. It gives us pi. So the relationship between the circumference and the diameter is pi. And so we came up with the formula that C is equal to pi d. So in order to find the perimeter of a circle, which is because we're dealing with a circular nature as it relates to the circle, we use circumference of a circle, right? But circumference of a circle is similar to perimeter of a circle. So the distance around any circle is actually equal to the diameter multiplied by the pi. And then we also looked at the diameter is equal to radius plus radius. And so C was also equal to pi r. Alright, so our focus today is on area of a circle. And so I have an activity here. Alright, so in front of our girls here, Alicia and Azaria, we have a circle. And the circle is divided into sectors, just like our figure that you're looking at. So what I want us to do is that what I'm going to do here, I'm going to manipulate this circle so you can actually see how the formula has been derived for the area of a circle. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to stretch out the circumference of a circle. So it's like as though I'm peeling off the edge of that circle. Alright? So let's do that. So we're peeling that off. So you see the length of the circumference. Right? And we know the circumference is equal to 2 pi r. We know that for a fact because we established that the last time. Right? Good. Next thing. Now if you notice, our circle is divided into, what do we call those things? Think of a pizza. Sectors. Great. How many sectors we have there? 6, right? 3 in red and 3 in blue. Right, so 6 sectors. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up that circle, the sectors. So this is what you're going to see. So I'm going to move the sectors. See, I'm splitting them up. See? Can you see that? So you see when I open up the circle, the sectors, so it almost goes to the length of the circumference, which is actually the circumference, right? But you notice because we have the little curvature, there's a little space there, right? So what happens if I divide up that circle? So let me show you something. So if let's put this back. Let's say I divide the circle into, how many sectors? Let's say 16 sectors, right? 6 or 20, we have there 20. So we have 10 on one side, 10 in blue, and 10 in red. So that will give us 20. So let's examine what's going to happen with the circumference. What's happening? See, it's almost there. See, it's almost there, right? So it's almost as though the circumference is stretching out. So you're seeing less and less of the curvature. All right. So let's say we divide this. So let's roll this back up. And let's divide it into more parts. Let's put 100. Let's put 100 parts. 90. Okay. All right. 100. Well, we're not getting 100. We are more. Okay. All right. Approximately 100 parts. So you see, more sectors I have. Let's see what happens with the circle. With the interesting, huh? So you see, so it's almost straight, right? It's there. So the more you divide up the circle into the sectors, something is forming. All right. So I'm going to pull this back up. Yeah. And I'm going to reduce this back to a small number that we had before. I think it was about 16, 18. All right. All right, put you back close there. All right, so we have like 8 parts. All right. So what you're going to do for me here is that you are going to open that circle that you have in front of you like that. So I don't want to do anything as yet. So with your sector, you have a circle in front of you, and I want you to open it up like that. So you're going to choose your halfway, right, and open up. So see how best you can open up. Right, separate a half. Just make sure you get your diameter right. Okay, so you need to open them. Right. Great. Right. At least you choose the half closer to you, so it would be easier to manipulate. Choose the half. All right. Okay, let me just set it to you so you could get some ease there. All right, so choose your half, and then you open up. Great. The half closer to you. That would be this portion here. This piece here. That's the half, eh? All right, so open it up, and then you open up like what Azari is doing there. All right. Right. Great. Wonderful. All right, so you see we have some spaces there, right?
Yeah.
Spaces. Come on. You have to open the other half as well. Right. You're opening the half. Nicely laid out. So make sure you have the bottom touching nicely. Alright, so here, there, like that. Cool. So straighten it up a bit so that it can look a little straight. But that's the idea. Alright. Great. So notice when we open the entire circle, the sectors there, how they spread out, right? They almost span the entire circumference, which is 2 pi r. Right? Good. So this is what I'm going to do now. Now look at it carefully. Now I am going to fill the spaces. You see those spaces there? Look what's happening.
That looks like the key.
See, that is exactly what you're going to do. So you are going to, so you go to, so you have to take half of it now, and you're filling those empty slots there. So you choose, right? So you stick them in nicely. Right? Fun, right? Yes. Stick them in there nicely.
These look like lion's teeth.
Huh?
These look like a lion's
Lion's teeth. Okay. That's cool. Right. So, wait, so we're waiting on Alicia. All right. All right. Right, up, down, like that. We're waiting on Alicia. She's taking her time to ensure that she gets the pieces fitted correctly. All right. Great. Nicely done. Just a few more pieces. All right. Great. So what kind of figure does it look like? What's the first figure that comes to your mind that it looks like?
cone.
A cone? No. Don't think of no, a cone doesn't look like that. Look at the overall outside shape of the figure. What is the shape that comes to mind?
Triangle.
Does it look rectangulish? Or parallelogramish?
Rhombus.
Huh?
Rhombus.
Yeah, kind of, but not necessarily a rhombus. A rhombus, you remember, all the sides would be equal, right? But parallelogram-ish, right? So like if you have a rectangle and you tilt it.
Yeah.
All right. Now notice, what is the height of that figure? The height would be in terms of what? What is the height represented there as? All right, let's go back. Let's go back to basics. All right. Now you see where we start from here to that green, right? So any point from the center of the circle to some point on the circumference, we refer to that as, what do we call that? It's R. And what is R? Radius, right? So the height, so from here to here represents the radius, right? So if I open up that sector there, and then I put these in the middle there, what is the height of the figure? It's right here. R. See that R? So that's the height of the figure is R, which is our radius. So we're going to think of that for now, right? Good. Now look at the circumference. Did we use up the entire circumference or part of it?
Part.
Part of it. How much of it? Almost how much?
Half.
Half of it. That is very good, right? So just half of the circumference we used up. So that's going to be key just now. Now, the other thing is, so it looks parallelogram-ish, right? It looks like a four-sided figure. So now it's not going to be seen much because, remember, the sectors, we only have like 8 sectors there fitted up, right? Now look at what happens when I increase the number of sectors. So I have 18 there, 24 sectors, 28 sectors, 38 sectors.
Icicle.
See, 50 sectors. So let's go all the way down to 200 sectors. What does it look like? What does that figure look like?
It looks like waves. When you're doing like
No, what kind of a shape you're seeing there? Shape.
a rectangle.
Rectangle. So, great. So what are the dimensions of this shape now? So, let me see if I can write here. So we have the height of the rectangle, which is R. And then we have half of the circumference, right? Half of the circumference. Right? So how do we find the area of a rectangle? Length by breadth. So what is the length and what is the breadth in this figure? We'll come back to it in a bit, right? All right, so let me switch out here. Let me go to a page. And so we have a figure that looks like this. Oh, let me get this figure straight. So we have a figure that looks like that. Almost like that. Great. And so here is R. And from here to here, it was half of what? Half of the circumference, right? So half of the circumference. We'll come to that just now. So how do we find the area of a rectangle? So area of rectangle equals length by breadth, or length by width. Good. So what is our length in this particular rectangle? How high is that thing? R. So it's R. And what is our circumference? How did we represent circumference the last time? We said that C is equal to 2 pi r, right? C is equal to 2 pi r. So let's put that figure there. Half times 2 times pi times r. So what happens with the 2's? Alright, I think we have a little visual problem, so let me just shift this down a bit. So we have r times half of the circumference, right? Half of the circumference, so it's half times 2 times pi times r. So these 2's will cancel out, and so we'll have pi, r times r will give us r squared. So that is how we arrive at the area, the formula for the area of a circle. Alright, so going back to our figure here. Alright, so what are the dimensions of the figure, or the shape that we spoke about just now? So we have r as being the height of the rectangle, right? And then we have from here to here, representing half of the circumference. Think you follow?
Yeah.
Next question. So what is the total area of the circle? And based on what we calculated just now, the total area of the circle would be say it, pi r square. So that's how we arrive at the area of the circle as being pi r square, right? So going back, so notice what we did. So we had a circle. Put this back. So we had a circle, right? The radius was r, and so what we did is that we extended the, alright, so we extended the circumference of the circle, right? So it's like as though we peel off the coating of the circle, right? And so what we did next is to arrange. So we separated the sectors, and we noticed that the sectors almost, when we set them up like that, they almost span the entire length of the circle, right? Length of the circumference. Notice that, right? But because we have the sectors in large parts, right? It takes a while for these parts to be straightened, right? So if we increase the, go back here, we fit it up like that. And so when we increase the number of sectors in the circle, so the more sectors we put, the more the circle, right, tend to a rectangle. And it's easier to find the area of a rectangle. So we use that principle to arrive at the area of a circle. You think you follow? Any questions?
No.
All right. So what we can do, so now that you know how we got the area, or how the area of a circle, the formula for the area of a circle was derived, it's easy now to use the formula. All right? So that brings us to this question here. All right, that question. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 8 circles. So the first one, we have a diameter of 2 cm. So calculate the area of the following circles, and we're going to give our answer to 1 decimal place. In this particular case, we'll use pi as 22/7. So let's look at part A. Part A. So we know that area of a circle is equal to pi r square, which is actually pi times radius times radius. That's what we know for a fact, right? So in this case, we're going to use pi equals 22/7. All right? Great. So in the first circle, so we're given diameter. So how do we get the radius? How do we get the radius? How much of the radius make up the diameter? Say it, yes, you're saying it. 2. 2 of them make up the diameter. So if you have a diameter of 2 centimeters, how much is the radius? 1 centimeter. So here I will write, oh, you can't see there. So it's 1, write pi first. So we know that r is equal to 1 cm. So therefore, the area is equal to 22/7 multiplied by 1 cm multiplied by 1 cm. What's the result there? So 1 cm times 1 cm would be cm square, and so we're multiplying 22/7 cm square. So we have 22/7 cm square. So if we divide 22 by 7, you know exactly what we're going to get. What is it as a decimal? 3.14. Right? And that's pi. So that, oops, page. So that's area is equal to 3.14 cm square. So note that area is always in cm square or square units, right? So if it's given in meters, it would be square meters or meters square. If it's given in centimeters, it would be centimeters square or square centimeters. Any idea? Good. So to 1 decimal place, area would be 3.1 cm square. Make sense? Great. Why did we? Oh, because 22 divided by 7. Because remember we had 22/7 cm square. And so 22 divided by 7. 2 into 22. 7 into 22. 7 3s. 21. How much remaining? 1. Put your point. Add a 0, bring it down. 7 can go into 10 how many times? 1 time. So that's 1. 1 by 7, that's 7. You subtract, you have 3. Add a 0, bring it down. 7 into 30. 7 4s. 28. And 2 remaining. So this goes on and on and on. So you can stop there at 3.14. So we know that that's what we got the last time. So we represent pi as either 22 over 7 for ease of calculation or 3.14 decimal to 2 decimal places. Alright? Great. So going back to our circles. Alright, so in part B, what is given in part B? The radius is given. Very well. So we do not have to do anything special there. So let me put it right under here. Alright, and if we're using pi as 22 over 7, we know the radius is 6 centimeters. So therefore area is equal to pi times r times r. Right? So area of circle is equal to 22 over 7. What is our radius? 6 centimeters times 6 centimeters. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So you can make some notes there. So multiply those values and then divide and see what you have. And you're taking your answer to 1 decimal place. Alright? Take your time and multiply. Getting through? Great. Alright, so A is equal to 22 over 7. Here we have 6 times 6, 36 cm square. And so you can multiply out. Alright. So you need to multiply 22 by 36 and then you can divide the result by 7. So that would be easier to do right now if depends on how you look at it. Alright? You getting it?
I multiply it. I add 6 plus 6 and then I do the 12.
No, you're multiplying, so there's a difference. Alright, so that symbol means multiply, so you are multiplying. When you add two things, you can't get anything square. So if I add 6 and 6 cm plus 6 cm, I will only get 12 cm. But if I multiply 6 cm by 6 cm, only then I can get the cm square, which is 36 cm square. Right? So later on you'll learn about laws of indices and why it's square. Right? Or why it's a 2 and not a 1 or a 3. Right? So the concept, look, so, all right, just a bit. So the concept of squares this is the concept of squares. So you have, so let me see if I can get it to you very quickly. You have a square divided up into 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So that's a square, right? So here we have 6 squares here. So this is where the idea came from. Right? So 6 squares here and 6 squares here. How many squares in all you have? Let's check on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So you see where the squares come from? So it's 36. Each one of these squares. Alright, so if I put CM here and CM there, it would be 36 CM square. Okay? That's where the concept comes from in terms of squares. Right, so here we just count them up. So you can just multiply, so we know multiplication 6 by 6, so you end up with 36 squares. Alright? Cool. Any other questions? Alright, so you getting through with that? Alright, so you can complete the result for homework. We're going to check it out on next week, on Tuesday. Alright, so let's so our concept today was focused on deriving the equation of a circle. So at least you know how we arrive at the equation of a circle in terms of the area. And so what happened is that the circle, right, was opened out in terms of the sectors. And then we fill the slots, because remember, area would be the space occupied by the two-dimensional figure, right? So the manipulative that you have in front of you there is a representative of what we did. And so more sectors you have like that, if you divide up the circle into more sectors, we're going to have a direct representation of a rectangle. And here we find the area of the rectangle, right, in terms of the dimensions of the circle. It turns out to be the radius times half of the circumference. Hence we have A is equal to pi r square. Alright? And so what we've been doing as well is just to apply the concept in terms of using the formula afterwards. Alright? So thank you for watching and hope you enjoy our lesson today. Bye.